Hello FlossTube. This is, oh goodness, my 4th video. So thank you for following me and for joining along on this journey. It's been a couple weeks since I did do my last video, but I did want to thank everyone who commented, who has subscribed, who has referred people, who has shared my FlossTube. I really do appreciate it. And one thing I guess that did change that I really don't know that much about, but I'm still figuring out, is when you subscribe, or if you want to be notified of when a new video has been uploaded, you need to click the little bell that when you scroll down below the video to what would be your right hand side, there's a bell. If you click on that, then you will get notifications when my new video uploads. And I keep trying to get this somewhat straight, but it never seems to work out quite right. So bear with me as I'm still trying to figure all of this out. I don't even know where to start, even though I wrote down notes. The first thing I guess is the last couple weeks have been very busy for me, busier than normal, which has been kind of crazy lately. But the first weekend of June, for those of you who are new, was the weekend of the Prim Society retreat that was in Pennsylvania, and I was actually I actually participated in the Merchant Mall, and so I had an opportunity to meet a lot of people that actually do watch my videos, and I also had an opportunity to meet Lisa, who was the winner of my first video giveaway. So that was nice to be able to meet her and basically hand deliver it to her in person. And there were so many people that came up and said hello. I did get to meet, oh my goodness, Deb and Liz from Country Stitchers, who I had just started watching. They are just as sweet as they can be. They stopped and chatted for a little while, and so it was good to actually see them in person. It's kind of weird though too, I have to admit, because it's like, okay, who's going to say something first? Because you don't want to assume that they watch your FlossTube. So it's kind of funny because I recognized who they were right off the bat. Wasn't sure if they knew who I was, but it was kind of funny because we both were kind of like, so that was fun. Let's see here. If you're not familiar with the Prim Society, it is a Facebook group that a few years ago they decided to start meeting in person and have a retreat. So I think this year, oh my goodness, I think this one was their 4th one. I did the one that they did in Williamsburg, which was their first one, and then I just did this one in Pennsylvania because both of them are relatively close to where I live. So it was easy for me to get away for the weekend. I will add to the bottom where you can make the notes and everything underneath the video, a list of who all the vendors were at the Merchant Mall with links to their website if they have one, or their Facebook page if they have one, for you to be able to see who some of the vendors were. It was a huge cross-section, so there were not really a lot of duplicates of anything, quite honestly, or vendor styles, or what they carry. And I'm sorry because of course it's been cold in here, and so I put my denim shirt on and now I'm going to get all warm. So anyway, I either am hot or cold, and right now I guess I'm deciding to be a little hotter than I thought. So let's see here, I'm checking my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see here, I will share, I did set up, so let me back up a little bit. So I did, I was in the Merchant Mall, and so I did set up, and I had some of my models that I'm getting rid of because I'm downsizing, so I don't have a lot of room for things. So I had a few models that I was going to part with, as well as some antique vintage things that I've collected along the way, and my thread keeps, needle keeps, and scissor keeps, along with flower frogs. So my mom, we like to thrift. I mean, who doesn't, right? But when I tell my mom that there's something I really like and she finds it, she tends to go overboard. So I have been the recipient of probably close to 30 to 40 flower frogs, ranging in various sizes. Most of them were clear glass. The ones that are in colors that I don't already have in my collection, I keep those. But I had a whole bunch of those, and those were pretty popular, just because I can only use so many. I only have so many scissors, and I have quite a few flower frogs left still. But I don't want to tell my mom, don't buy me anything or don't look for anything for me anymore, because she will, and then I may miss out on a really good find. So the way I look at it is, she's out and about doing things, I might as well take advantage of it and benefit from it. But I should have grabbed this head and hang on. Here's a couple of ideals. So basically, if you're not familiar with what a flower frog is, it's the glass that I think they were made pretty much the 50s, 60s, maybe even earlier than that. I'd have to look. But they have the holes in them, and what they were designed for was to sit down in a vase, and you could put your flowers in to arrange your flowers. So just, you know, sits right down into the water, and the stems and everything would still collect water because it's glass and the water's still going to get in there. This is one that I will not part with, but it's a green one. So you can see how they come in a variety of colors. I have orange, I have black, I have pink, I have blues, I mean, you name it. And some of them even have like statues that you would sit in the middle of a vase and have your flowers and everything, and the statue sitting in the middle of it. So this is another great find, and I'm not showing the inside of it because I should have wiped it out. But it's a milk glass bowl, a compote bowl, I believe. And it has these little holes in it as well. So you could actually put scissors around, and you could also just sit this down in there, and you can put scissors inside the bowl as well. So if you're not familiar with that, that's what people use, or at least sewers use flower frogs for. I put pencils in them. I also refinish furniture, which I've kind of backed away from because it's very time consuming and you're dealing with big pieces. So but a lot of my tools and everything, because I like the old handmade tools with the wood handles, I like the old stuff. And so I would fit a lot of the screwdrivers and stuff down in the holes where I paint and refinish at. So anyway, so that's why I had the flower frogs there. But I also had an opportunity to shop, and I'm trying to be really careful because, as I said, I'm downsizing, and so I really do have a lot of stuff, and it really is kind of sad. I probably could open up my own shop and not think twice about it, but it makes me think twice about buying stuff. But I did walk around and checked out some of the other vendors, and one of the things that I picked up, and I've always wanted one, but when I have found them, they've been extremely expensive, so I've just kind of been like, yeah, no, I'll pass on that. But it's a Duchess hoop, and it's an oval. So let me back up here so you can see it, but it's got, I want to say probably like a strip of flannel or wool probably that's inside. And so when you put your linen in there, it keeps it from getting those crimp marks or the creases and the lines that you get when you put a hoop on really tight. So I've always wanted one, so I picked this one up. Don't know if I'll actually use it or not. It may just hang with some of my antiques and my old finds that I have, but excuse me, it was very timely, so I picked it up, and something I had been looking for. Another thing that I had picked up was there was a shop there that had a mixture of old sewing tools, thread holders, the wooden ones, and they also made new pin cushions that had, a lot of them were animals, but they had like a little pillow with the animal sitting on top. And I'll put the name, and I'll when I put the list down below, I'll put a little comment so you know which shop it is that had them. But they are really cute, and they had old and new mixed in together. And this kind of, it's a celluloid, and I didn't realize this at the time because it was in the case, but that's okay. It's made in France, but I liked it because it looks like a koi pond, so it's got like little fishes going around, if you can see them, and it's got like the coral that you would see in the bottom of the ocean, but when you unscrew it, it has a thimble. Can't leave home without your thimble. And then it has like a little holder here that you could wrap some thread around, and I'm not sure, but you could probably even put a needle down in there. I didn't try that, but I would imagine a needle would probably fit there. So I thought that was cute. I liked it. Our oldest son is in China right now, so it just kind of had an Asian look to me. That's why I picked that one up. Let's see here. I also stopped by and talked to Beth with Summer House Stitchworks for a little bit before we started on, before the doors opened on Saturday. So she still had, I think, just a couple of her kits just for the retreat that she made special for them, and it's called Pennsylvania Prim Friends, and I had to pick this up. It's got the froctor, and for those of you who don't know, Beth actually lives in Pennsylvania, so it's her home state, and included is the linen and the threads and this marvelous little hoop that it can be finished in. So it looks like it'll be a fairly quick stitch, and I was glad to pick one of these up. And I would imagine she's definitely out of them by now, I would think. And then I also picked up some fabric from Dixie Sampler hand-dyed fabrics. These will just be for personal use because they're not intended for resale, and I don't want to necessarily design something that people can't get. So these were just really pretty colors that I liked. This one is Vintage Autumn. It's just like a deep mocha brown almost. And then this one is Churn Butter, and it's got like a soft, let's see, it kind of reminds me of the, if you know Lakeside Linen, the Meadow Rue is what it kind of reminds me of. And then she had this one called Leaky Cauldron, and I just loved it because it looks almost like a denim in a way, or a real faded chalkboard is what it looked like to me. So I just really liked that. And she does, you really should watch her Facebook group because she does do sales through Facebook, and she serges all the edges, which to me that's fabulous. You don't have to worry about things unraveling on the ends. So those were, oh, hang on, I've got one more goodie that I picked up. I mean, you just can't help but pick up stuff when you go to these. I mean, how can you? But this I really loved. And now granted, you know, I sat there and I contemplated, I'm like, well, you know, I really could make that. But yeah, like I'll really make it because time just gets away. But it's a strawberry emery, and it has, the strawberry has the little black beads, and it's got the ribbon for the cap, and then attached to it, it has two little strawberries in green. And this one I still have the tag on it, so I can tell you it's Woodland Primitives American Folk Art. And this is their Ruby Strawberry Emery. And what I love about it is it just has this really nice weight to it. So when you pick it up, you can feel it. Now, not that I'll probably ever use it. It'll probably sit here with all of my tchotchkes that I've got, but I just love the feel of it. And so I went ahead and picked that up. So it'll sit over here with all my little tchotchkes. Let's see here. So that was 2 weekends ago. That was my big adventure. Let's see here. For those of you who are interested, they do an annual retreat. So I would recommend, if you're not already a member and you're interested in being a member of the group or knowing about the retreat and going to the retreat, then you probably want to sign up for their Facebook group, which is Prim Stitchers, and I'll add that down at the bottom. And then their retreat is usually in May, and they've already announced that next year's retreat is going to be in Asheville, North Carolina. So Biltmore, if anyone's familiar with Biltmore, that is the home of Biltmore. So I'm looking forward to that. That's I actually have family that live in Tennessee, in the Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol area, so which is probably about an hour and a half from Asheville. I actually have family in Asheville too, now that I think about it. But so I could probably squeeze in some time with family and do the retreat as well. So that one is on my radar. The other thing too is the Merchant Mall, just so you know, is not just for retreat attendees. Now, if you're a retreat attendee, you get, I think it's like a half an hour or an hour to shop before they open it to the public, but the mall is open to the public. So if you live nearby, you can still take advantage of the mall if you don't want to actually go to the retreat, stay there, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. But anyway, it's just so you can sit and stitch, right? All right, so that was 2 weeks ago. So then maybe I do need to break these up in two, but anyway, I don't get a chance to do them as often as I would like. I'm hoping that'll change soon as well, and I'll talk about that. I guess I'm going to talk about that now. So as I've said in my first video, my mother-in-law's moved in, and so I had to consolidate all of my sewing stuff into basically the living room, dining room, and it's proving to be quite the challenge, and that's bothering me, so I'm sorry because I can see it bothers me. So our oldest son is in China. He's teaching English. He just finished a year and he's just signed up for 2 more years. So he is supposed to be coming home to visit in November, but he's not going to be coming home anytime soon permanently. And when he does, I would imagine at that point he'll probably want his own place. So right now, our youngest son has commandeered his room. And so his room is now where the kids do the gaming. They've got the big TV. That's basically the room where when all of his friends come over, that's the room they go, and that's their space. But he still has his bedroom. So he actually told me that he wants to get rid of what's in his bedroom and move some of the things that are in the bedroom into our oldest son's room. I don't know if he thinks it's bigger because they're all the same size. I don't know what it is. If it's because it's further away from us, I don't know. But when he does that, I'm commandeering that room. So, and one of the reasons being I want to be able to actually have a quiet place that I can go stitch. I do work full time. I'm pretty busy, and sometimes I just need to be away from people. I mean, I think we all kind of do that. To regroup, and the way I kind of do that is I go off into a corner and I stitch. And I haven't been able to do that as much as I would like to. So when I commandeer that room, the other nice thing about it is the privacy. I would be able to do videos more frequently, which is something that I want to do. I don't like really having long videos. I'd rather have several shorter videos, so hopefully I'll be able to make that happen in a few more weeks, but we shall see. So this past weekend was, I spent that in Dover, Delaware. So I went to the Biggs Museum. They were having a sampler symposium, and the focus was on Delaware samplers. It was amazing. My husband actually went with me, so we got up early, we drove to Dover, and we got there a few minutes before they actually opened the doors. We checked in. They had a very nice breakfast, but they also had, where the symposium was also in the middle of where the samplers were being exhibited. So we were able to go ahead and start looking at them and seeing them up close and personal before the symposium actually started. One of the things that I had hoped, and apparently it's not going to happen, I was hoping to be able to pick up the Delaware book that was being put together by Gloria Allen Seaman. I hope I got that right. I always want to reverse it because, I don't know, maybe I have dyslexia along with a few other things I've got going on. But anyway, Gloria Seaman Allen. See, I always get it reversed. So the book isn't ready, so they're still finalizing everything, but it hasn't been published yet. So I was hoping I could have that as one of my bigger giveaways. So that's not going to happen. So I have to come up with something else. But anyway, what was nice was just, I mean, the whole thing was, the way they did it was just really phenomenal. They had the samplers grouped together. Now, a lot of you who know things about schoolgirl samplers know that they didn't have patterns like we do. They actually, you know, one of their friends may have stitched something and they would use a marking sampler to copy that little bit of the pattern so then that they would have it. Or they were being taught by the same teacher and she only had maybe 1 or 2 designs that she taught. So it was really nice to be able to see in the exhibit how they had several samplers that were the same design, but yet they were all so different because the girls didn't stitch them the same way. They were all stitched, you know, in their own style with what they had. They had varying degrees of skill level, so that was impacting the finished product as well. So it was very nice to see them grouped together in that manner and to be able to actually look at the differences in how the girls approach them. Let's see here. I'm looking at my notes because I didn't want to forget anything. And I'm trying to be better organized. Basically the whole day, if no one has been to a symposium, it's lectures. So it's educational. We were able to, you know, see the samplers, see what they were referring to, but they also brought them to life based off of the research that they had been able to do. The exhibit, if you're interested, is actually, it started May the 19th and it ends July 22nd. And this is the postcard that they had sent out. So they even have a phenomenal sampler on the postcard. And it celebrates the 25 years too of the museum. So that's kind of a nice little capstone for them. I'm going to just go through to give you an idea of the lectures. So it started at 10 o'clock. The first lecture was by Linda Eaton, and it was Embroidery, an important part of Delaware's material culture. Now, Linda is the John L. and Marjorie P. McGraw Director of Collections and Senior Curator of Textiles at Winterthur Museum, which is in Wilmington, Delaware, and teaches in the Winterthur program in Early American Culture and the Winterthur University of Delaware program in Art Conservation. So she has quite an extensive background. She's written a few books, which I will include that information as well. So if you're interested in checking that out, she did a great job of explaining the history and how it ties in what makes Delaware unique and the materials and everything that they had. After she spoke, it was Susi Slocom, and she has a book that's coming out focusing just on fruit and flowers, samplers of Delaware, and the time frame is 1788 to 1839. And she had a postcard. I believe I picked it up. Yes. No, actually there's a flyer, and I didn't do a very good job of keeping it nice and neat, but I had stuck it in my book that I had picked up. But she has one that is coming out. I will put the information down below if you're interested in finding out more about the book that she put together and how you can get your own copy. I will do that. It hasn't come out yet. It's supposed to come out in the fall of this year. So that was what she talked about. She had various examples of the different motifs and everything that they used. And then Cynthia Shank Steinhoff talked about A Tale in Two Cities, needlework teacher Deborah Hicks Mundale. And so she talked about how she was a teacher that most people think of her as being a Philadelphia-based teacher, but she actually started in Newcastle, Delaware. So Deborah also taught in the town of Newcastle, Delaware in the early 1820s. So Cindy talked about how her work changed and the differences between what she taught in Newcastle and what she taught in Philadelphia. And she had some examples from photos of someone who had 3 in their collection that could be attributed back to Deborah's school. And then Lynne Anderson talked about the Quaker Southern boarding school. And so the title of her talk was In Wonder, Love, and Praise, the Quaker Spirit and Southern Boarding School Samplers. They had probably, off the top of my head, I think 7 or 8 samplers that were from the boarding school, and they were all very similar in style. And for those of you who aren't aware, Quakers, their designs were usually very simple. They weren't ornate. They weren't the big showpiece samplers that we, you know, equate a lot of the English and American samplers to. They were just very simple and modest, I guess would be a good word. So she talked about the samplers, why certain things would be significant with Quakers, why they would have included certain things. She also has a book. I feel like I'm doing book ads again. She also has a book coming out. Let me see if she has I think she said sometime in the fall as well. So there's going to be some pretty good sampler books that we can get our hands on later this year. The name of hers is Use Well Your Time While in Your Prime, Samplers from the Oregon Historical Society Collection. So I think this one will be very interesting. Lynne Anderson, you may be familiar with the name. She, if you are part of the Sampler Consortium, which is they have a lot of samplers online that you can take a look at, but this one should be very interesting because Oregon, I mean, that was settled later in the mid to late 1800s. So from what she was saying, a lot of the samplers actually made the journey from the East Coast in the Midwest. So it'll be interesting to see the different styles and how they made their way across the country to Oregon. So that may be one that you're interested in. So watch for more information about that book. And then Mary Brooks, she talked about schoolgirl needlework, Quaker connections near and far. Mary is the archivist at Westtown School in Westchester, Pennsylvania. She's been doing that since 1995, so that's a long time. Not that she's old. She looks wonderful. She looks like she's probably maybe 30, if that. Prior to that, she worked at the Chicago Historical Society and Western Reserve Historical Society in Cleveland. She did co-curate an exhibit on needlework at the Chester County Historical Society, In Stitches, Unraveling Their Stories, which the Loudon Sampler Guild, we actually did a field trip there. So we got to see all of the samplers. And she's also written a book about Westtown Needlework Collection, Threads of Useful Learning, Westtown School Samplers, and it was published in 2015. So this is one that's actually on my list to pick up. What I thought was interesting is the school was founded in 1799 for Quaker children. And around the Philadelphia area, which would, if you're not that familiar, if you're geographically challenged, Philadelphia and Wilmington and all that's kind of clustered together. So the children would have come from Delaware, which was one of the reasons that she was there, and the Pennsylvania area. But what I think is really unique is the school was founded in 1799. They have records. All of their records have been maintained, which is really unusual because a lot of the schools, they may have caught fire. Someone may have thought, oh, we don't need these records anymore. Let's just get rid of them. They didn't do that. So they have an extensive collection. So Westtown is some place, it's still an active school. They still instruct children. You can still have your children go to school there. But you can also contact her if you're interested, and she will work with you on taking a look at their collection, or if maybe you have a family member that went to school there, looking at the records. Maybe you've come across a Westtown sampler or one that you think might be a Westtown sampler. She can actually look all of that up. So what was really neat when she was talking, because a lot of the girls would put initials of other people on their sampler, and so they may have used their surname, so you may have had a lot of the same last letter being the same, or they may have had a combination of different letters, and you're sitting there trying to figure out how do they know each other. Well, she said that they actually can go back and look and see who was attending the school at the same time as the child and cross-reference that way to figure out, based off of the records, who the other children's initials may be of. So, or teachers, or whatever the case may be. So she had a very interesting talk. And one of the other things that I thought was very interesting is, in doing my own genealogy, on my dad's side, I actually descend from one of the first settlers in Nantucket, Tristram Coffin, and I've seen it spelled Fin, Fyn. he had a large family, and she was talking about there was 2 girls, one named Lucretia Coffin and the other one named Mary Coffin from Nantucket. One went to, I believe she said, the Pennsylvania area to teach needlework, and the other one went to 9-partner boarding. See, I even made a note on the back of my, so I could check it out, because in my research, the name Lucretia obviously is a little different, so that one has kind of stuck out. So I just need to spend some time and go back and dig around a little bit more to see what I can find out. And a few years ago, I was doing some research, and I came across Amy Finkel actually had a sampler that was made by, I believe it was Mary Coffin. And my husband was like, oh, just call and find out how much it is. Sure, honey, I'll do that. And so I just sent her an email, and she shared a lot of the information that she had gathered about Mary. And I'll have to double check, because I did keep a picture of and the information that she sent to me, because when she told me the price tag, I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen unless I win the lottery. So, and when we went there, when our guild went there, she did a lecture, and we could walk around and see all the samplers. It was around the same time, and that one had already been purchased. And it's one that Betty Ring had in her book as well. So it's a pretty well-known sampler, but I can at least trace my love of Starbucks, I think, back to the Coffin family of Nantucket, because if you're familiar with Moby Dick, you've seen the name Starbuck in it, and one of Tristram's daughters married a Starbuck. So I can trace both of those things that far back. So that's kind of impressive, isn't it? And I think my love of colonial style houses too, because the family house that they built, which is kind of funny, because where I live in Virginia, most of our houses have like a colonial type of look to them, and my house looks very similar to the first house that he built on Nantucket, which is still there and is a museum. So at some point I have to make it to Nantucket. But we decided at that point to go ahead and head out. So there were still 2 more lectures. One was Cheryl DeJong, the Delaware Orphan Court Records, and then the other one was by Cindy Steinhoff, a sampler tour of Sussex County, because they were calling for some really bad storms, and we still had about a 2.5-hour drive back home. And we wanted to get across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, and if anyone has ever went across that, it can be a little apprehensive on a good day, much less on a windy, rainy day. And we literally, when we did come back home, after we went across the bridge, that's when we hit a torrential, I mean, you can even see, it was almost, I mean, we almost had to pull over. It was just coming down in sheets. It literally looked like somebody was just pouring a bucket over your car. So I was glad that we made it across the bridge in plenty of time and didn't have to endure that. So I'm sorry this has went so long, but like I said, it's been a busy couple weeks, and it was a lot of information that I wanted to share. I will be putting a lot of notes down below as far as the Prim Retreat. I will also be putting information about the Sampler Symposium and the books that are coming out. They do have some things in the store. So before I move on too quickly, there's a few things. They did have this book from a few years ago, and the title of it is Wrought with Careful Hand, Ties of Kinship of Delaware Samplers, and it's written by Lynne Anderson, who was one of the ones that did the lecture and has the book coming out later this year on the Oregon samplers, and then Gloria Seaman Allen. So some of the samplers were the same as what I saw, but it has the information along with a picture of whatever they've been able to research. They each have a little synopsis about the girl and the history and any other significance of the sampler or the family that they can that they've been able to compile. And this looks like it was a book done by the Biggs Museum. So I'm sure if you contact them, they will be more than happy to get you a copy. There were also several reproduction samplers that were there that you could buy. Not the finished product, but the pattern, the chart. by Queenstown Sampler Designs, so Barb Hudson, and she was there as well. So I will include the names of those samplers that you can actually buy and reproduce that are and contributed to the Biggs Museum. And then the other thing too is, see, there's a lot going on. Let's see, Winterthur. If you're not familiar, they do usually an annual symposium, and so Linda had information about the one that they have coming up in October. The title of it is Embroidery, the Thread of History, a Winterthur Conference, October 19th to 2018. So I will include the link for their website. I've already taken a look at it, and it looks like it goes, there's 2 days of lectures, and it looks like around 2 o'clock it breaks out for some workshops that you can sign up for, or some tours. So if you're interested in learning more, you can check that out, and I will have the link down there for you to do so. All right, so if I haven't lost you by now, I'm glad. Couple things that I wanted to remind everyone of is for the giveaways. Be a subscriber and make sure you leave a comment, because I'll have people like the videos and I'll have little thumbs go up and a few go down. Let's keep them up. But that doesn't enter you in the giveaway. The only way you get entered in the giveaway is you have to leave a comment, because that's how I know you're out there. So my last video, I was a train wreck, I'll admit it. I did not pull a name for my second video. So the person who won the second video is Heather McLean, and she commented that she recently started Eliza Bell Cox. So if you're watching, then I have some goodies that I'm going to send to you. Send me an email, comment, send me a PM through Facebook, Instagram, comment down below my FlossTube video, and I will get this to you. And then, since that was my catch-up. So for my third video, let's see here, and I know I'm going to butcher it because I want to try to pronounce it all as one word, but it's several words put together. So it's super cute. Uh-oh, I can't read my own writing. Super cute Lela Mae. I hope I got that right. But you're the winner of giveaway number 3. So if you will send me your contact information, I will get it off to you as well, some goodies. And then I'm still trying to contemplate what to do for my big one for June. But I'll come up with something. I've got things spinning around in my head. Lots of things spin around up there, but I've got something that I think it can percolate pretty quickly. So if you are interested in participating in the giveaway, I do one for each FlossTube video, and then I do a bigger one for the month. So, and that will, and this is one of the reasons why I'm wanting to do a video a week, because in that way it gives people, more opportunities to win the bigger one. So anyway, that's how I'm working my giveaways. So for this one of the things, because I'm starting to watch a lot more FlossTube videos, and I'm starting to see a lot more new ones pop up, which is really good, right? List what your favorite FlossTube videos are, who you like watching, who are some of your favorite channels. I think we all pretty much have, there's like a handful that are probably pretty standard for everyone, but there's some really good ones out there that people haven't stumbled across of yet. And if you have found one that you think is really great and think that it's worth everyone else checking out, let us know. That will enter you in the giveaway. Don't say anything about winning or prize or anything like that, because apparently people troll the internet to win things, and I want items that I have for giveaways to go to people who will actually appreciate them, who are stitchers, who may even enjoy samplers. So that's all I ask. Pretty simple. Well, I do have another ask. Remember, couple things. One is subscribe. You have to be a subscriber to be in the giveaway. Pretty simple. And then make sure you hit the little bell so you get notified. And then I guess I have 3 things. The third one is share me. Share my video, help get the word out there so that people who enjoy samplers, who want to know about samplers, have a chance of stumbling on my video. So I think that covers it. Heather McLean and super cute Lela Mae, don't forget to contact me. And make sure that you are leaving a comment on this video with your FlossTube channel recommendations. And if you're really adventuresome, throw in there why they're your favorite or why you recommend them, so that will help us all when we go back and look at them to figure out which ones we might want to look at first, because we all have different interests when it comes to needlework, and some of us are going to migrate towards some and not the others, and that's okay. So as you can tell, that really bothers me right there. Wish there was a way to do this where you're not sitting here looking at yourself the whole time you're talking. It reminds me of when I was a kid and you used to sit there in front of the mirror and talk. I may be the only one that did that. And I just told everybody. Maybe I'll cut that out. So until the next time, I hope all of you find whether it's a small window of time to stitch or watch some more FlossTube videos or pick up a book about needlework, I hope you find time to do whatever you would like to do until we have a chance to chat again. Thank you. Bye.